There is something magnetic about certain women that defies every conventional rule society has written about age and attraction. Something that pulls men in with an almost gravitational force they cannot explain, cannot resist, and often cannot even articulate. It has nothing to do with fighting time or desperately clinging to youth. It has nothing to do with expensive creams, surgical interventions, or trying to compete with women half their age. In fact, it is the complete opposite. It is a quality that only deepens and becomes more potent with the passing of years. And here is what makes this truly fascinating. The women who possess this quality are not trying to attract anyone. They are not performing, not auditioning, not seeking validation. They have simply arrived at a place within themselves that radiates outward like warmth from a fire on a cold night. If you are watching this video right now, I want you to understand something important before we go any further. What you are about to learn has the potential to fundamentally shift how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and how the world responds to you. This is not about tricks or manipulation or games. This is about understanding a profound truth about human attraction that most people never grasp. And when you do grasp it, everything changes. Welcome back to this channel. If you are new here, you have just discovered a space dedicated to exploring the deeper psychology of relationships, attraction, and personal transformation. We dive into the science, the psychology, and the timeless wisdom that helps people understand themselves and others on a much deeper level. If that resonates with you, I want to invite you right now to subscribe to this channel and tap that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Our community here is special because we go beyond surface-level advice. We explore the real dynamics of human connection. So join us on this journey. Before we dive in today, if this video brings you any value, any insight, any moment of recognition or understanding, please take a moment to hit that like button. It helps this message reach other women who need to hear it. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or experiences. I read every single comment, and the conversations in this community are incredible. Share this video with a friend who needs this message today. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the work we do here, you can click the super thanks button below to show your appreciation. Every contribution helps us continue creating this content for you. Now, let us begin this exploration together. We have all witnessed it. That woman who walks into a room and something shifts in the atmosphere. Heads turn, but not in the obvious way they might for a young woman in a revealing dress. No, this is different. This is a slow, almost unconscious recognition that something remarkable has just entered the space. Men find themselves drawn toward her, like planets pulled into orbit around a sun. They want to talk to her, to be near her, to understand what it is about her that feels so different from everyone else. And here is the thing that confuses so many people. This woman might be 50, 60, even 70 years old. She might have silver hair and lines on her face that tell stories of decades lived. She might not fit a single standard of what magazines tell us is attractive. And yet, there is something about her that is utterly, undeniably magnetic. Meanwhile, there are younger women in the same room who are objectively beautiful by conventional standards, who have invested hours in their appearance, who are doing everything they have been told to do to attract attention. And yet they fade into the background while this older woman commands the room without even trying. What is happening here? What is this mysterious quality that seems to defy everything we have been taught about youth and beauty and attraction? That is exactly what we are going to uncover in this video. And I promise you, by the end of it, you will not only understand what this vibe is, but you will have a clear path to cultivating it within yourself. Because here is the beautiful truth. This is not something you either have or you do not have. This is something that can be developed, nurtured, and refined. And the good news is that age is actually your ally in this process. Every year you live, every experience you accumulate, every challenge you overcome gives you more raw material to work with. So settle in, because we are going to take a deep journey together. We are going to explore the psychology, the energy, the specific qualities that create this magnetic presence. We are going to look at why men are biologically and psychologically wired to respond to these qualities. And we are going to discuss how you can embody this vibe authentically in a way that honors who you truly are. Part 1. Understanding the magnetic quality. Let us start by dismantling a lie that has been sold to women for generations. The lie that their value and attractiveness have an expiration date. The lie that they are in a race against time, fighting a battle they are destined to lose. This lie has caused immeasurable suffering. It has led women to see their natural aging process as a tragedy rather than a triumph. It has caused them to spend fortunes trying to look younger instead of investing in becoming more fully themselves. Here is the truth that the beauty industry, the media, and popular culture do not want you to know. Youth is not the pinnacle of female attractiveness. It is one form of attractiveness, yes, but it is not the highest form. It is not the most compelling form, and it is certainly not the only form. The most magnetically attractive quality a woman can possess has nothing to do with smooth skin or a certain body type or the absence of gray hair. It is a quality of being. It is a way of existing in the world. It is an energy that radiates from deep within. And this quality, this energy, this vibe is something that typically cannot even develop until a woman has lived enough life to earn it. So what exactly is this quality? If we were to give it a name, we might call it grounded radiance. It is the combination of deep inner stability and authentic life force. It is what happens when a woman has done the work of knowing herself, accepting herself, and becoming comfortable in her own skin. It is what emerges when she is no longer performing for the approval of others, but is simply and powerfully being who she is. Men sense this immediately. They might not be able to articulate what they are sensing. They might simply say, "She has something about her," or "There is just something different about her." But what they are responding to is this grounded radiance. And it is irresistible because it is so rare and so real. Think about what most people encounter in their daily interactions. They encounter others who are anxious, distracted, seeking validation, performing roles, trying to project images, hiding their true selves, worrying about what others think of them. This is the water we all swim in. This is the norm. And it is exhausting and alienating, even though we have become so accustomed to it that we hardly notice. Now imagine encountering someone who is none of those things, someone who is fully present, completely at ease with themselves, radiating genuine warmth and interest, not trying to prove anything or get anything from you. Someone who is anchored in their own sense of self, so deeply that nothing can shake them. Someone whose energy says, "I am enough, I am complete, I have nothing to prove and nothing to hide." That person stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. That person feels like coming home. That person is magnetic beyond measure. And here is the crucial insight. This quality is much more accessible to older women than to younger ones. Not because younger women are inherently incapable of it, but because developing this quality requires something that can only come with time. It requires the lived experience of facing challenges and discovering your own resilience. It requires the wisdom that comes from making mistakes and learning from them. It requires the self-knowledge that only deepens through years of living. It requires the letting go of illusions that happens naturally as we mature. A woman of 25 can be beautiful, certainly, but it is very difficult for her to have this grounded radiance because she simply has not lived long enough to develop it. She is still figuring out who she is. She is still vulnerable to the opinions of others. She is still likely to be performing and seeking validation, because that is developmentally appropriate for her stage of life. There is nothing wrong with this. It is simply where she is in her journey. But a woman of 50 who has done her inner work has something the 25-year-old cannot have yet. She has earned her peace. She has weathered storms and emerged stronger. She has learned to stop looking outside herself for validation. She has discovered that she is the source of her own worth. And this transformation creates an energy that is palpable to everyone around her. Let me be clear about something important here. This is not about age automatically conferring this quality. Plenty of older women have not developed this grounded radiance. They are still caught in the same patterns of insecurity and validation seeking that they had in their 20s, just with added bitterness about their aging. Age alone does not create this magnetic vibe. What creates it is how a woman has used her years. It is the inner work she has done. It is the relationship she has developed with herself. The women who possess this magnetic quality have used their life experiences as raw material for transformation. Every heartbreak taught them something about love and resilience. Every failure taught them something about courage and persistence. Every loss taught them something about what truly matters. Every year stripped away another layer of false self until what remains is the gleaming truth of who they really are. This is the vibe that men are drawn to. This is what we are going to explore in depth throughout this video. The specific components of this magnetic presence and how you can cultivate each one within yourself. Part 2. The power of emotional sovereignty. The first and perhaps most important component of this magnetic vibe is what we might call emotional sovereignty. This is the quality of being the queen of your own inner kingdom. It means that your emotional state is determined by you, not by external circumstances or other people's behavior. It means that you have developed the capacity to feel your feelings fully without being controlled by them. It means that you do not outsource your well-being to anyone or anything outside yourself. Emotional sovereignty is deeply attractive to men, and here is why. Most men have experienced being with women who are emotionally reactive, who need constant reassurance, who take everything personally, who make the man responsible for their feelings. This is exhausting for everyone involved. It creates a dynamic where the man feels like he is walking on eggshells, where he can never quite do enough or be enough, where her emotional volatility becomes the center of the relationship. Now contrast this with a woman who has emotional sovereignty. She is stable, grounded, centered. She can receive criticism without crumbling. She can hear no without making it mean something about her worth. She can witness his moods without taking them on as her own responsibility. She can express her feelings without blaming him for them. She can be disappointed without being devastated. This woman is like an emotional oasis. Being around her feels safe and peaceful. A man can relax in her presence because he knows that her well-being does not depend on him being perfect or reading her mind or constantly managing her emotional state. This is incredibly liberating for him. And it is also deeply attractive because it signals a kind of strength and maturity that is rare and valuable. Here is something important to understand about men, whether we like it or not. Men are often socialized to be problem solvers, to fix things. When they encounter a woman who is constantly in emotional crisis, their fixing instinct gets triggered over and over again. At first, they might rise to the occasion, trying to solve her problems and make her feel better. But over time, if the emotional crises never end, they become depleted. They start to feel like failures because nothing they do seems to be enough. And eventually, they withdraw. But when they encounter a woman with emotional sovereignty, something very different happens. They experience the relief of not being responsible for her feelings. And paradoxically, This makes them want to contribute to her happiness more, not less. When pleasing her is a gift he gets to give rather than a debt he owes, everything shifts. So how does a woman develop emotional sovereignty? This is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice, a cultivation, a gradual building of inner strength. The first step is developing awareness of your emotional patterns. Start to notice when you are triggered. What situations tend to destabilize you? What kinds of interactions leave you feeling anxious or upset? What are your habitual responses when you feel threatened or hurt? This awareness is the foundation of change because you cannot transform what you cannot see. The second step is building your capacity to sit with uncomfortable emotions without immediately reacting. This is where practices like meditation, journaling, and therapy can be invaluable. When you feel triggered, instead of lashing out or shutting down or seeking immediate comfort from someone else, practice staying present with the discomfort. Breathe. Feel the sensations in your body. Remind yourself that this feeling will pass. It always does. The third step is learning to meet your own emotional needs. Many women have been taught to look to men for emotional validation and support. While healthy relationships certainly include emotional intimacy, relying on a partner to regulate your emotions for you is a recipe for dependency and dysfunction. Practice soothing yourself when you are upset. Practice celebrating yourself when you achieve something. Practice being your own best friend. The fourth step is developing a rich inner life that gives you stability regardless of what is happening externally. This might include spiritual practices, creative pursuits, meaningful work, deep friendships, connection with nature, or any other sources of meaning and fulfillment that are independent of romantic relationships. When you have multiple sources of nourishment in your life, you are not desperately dependent on any single source. The fifth step is practicing non-reactivity in moments of conflict or challenge. This does not mean suppressing your feelings or being passive. It means learning to respond rather than react. When someone says something that hurts you, instead of immediately defending yourself or attacking them, take a breath. Consider your response. Choose how you want to show up. This pause between stimulus and response is where your power lies. Over time, as you practice these skills, your emotional sovereignty grows stronger. You become less easily shaken. You become more centered and grounded. You develop an unshakable core that can weather any storm. And this stability radiates outward, creating a presence that others find deeply calming and attractive. I want to address something that might be coming up for some of you as you hear this. You might be thinking that emotional sovereignty sounds cold or distant. You might worry that being emotionally stable means being emotionally unavailable. This is a misunderstanding. Emotional sovereignty does not mean you do not feel deeply. It does not mean you do not care. It does not mean you hold yourself apart from others. In fact, it is quite the opposite. When you are emotionally sovereign, you can actually afford to feel more because you know you can handle whatever arises. You can be more open and vulnerable because you are not afraid of being destroyed by rejection or disappointment. You can love more freely because your sense of self is not dependent on being loved back. True emotional sovereignty creates more capacity for intimacy, not less. It creates the safety that allows for real connection. It creates the space where love can flourish without the strangling grip of neediness. Part 3. The allure of self-possession. Closely related to emotional sovereignty is the quality of self-possession. This is about knowing who you are and being fully comfortable with that person. It is about having a clear sense of your own values, preferences, boundaries, and identity. It is about not abandoning yourself to fit in or to please others. Self-possession is extraordinarily attractive because it is so rare. Most people are chameleons, constantly adjusting themselves to match their environment or to please whoever they are with. They agree with opinions they do not actually hold. They pretend to like things they are indifferent to. They hide parts of themselves that they fear will not be accepted. They perform different versions of themselves for different audiences. This shape-shifting might seem adaptive, but it comes at a tremendous cost. First, it is exhausting to constantly monitor and adjust yourself. Second, it creates relationships built on false pretenses. Third, and most importantly, it prevents genuine connection because the real you is never actually present. A self-possessed woman does none of this. She is the same person regardless of who she is with. She speaks her truth even when it might be unpopular. She maintains her positions even under pressure. She does not pretend to be interested in things that bore her or to agree with ideas she finds wrong. She does not dim her light to make others comfortable, and she does not inflate herself to impress. This consistency is magnetic for several reasons. First, it signals confidence and strength. A woman who can hold her own position in the face of social pressure is clearly not weak or easily dominated. This strength is attractive in itself. Second, it creates trust. When a man sees that a woman is the same person in every situation, he knows that what he sees is what he gets. He does not have to worry about hidden agendas or secret selves. Third, it allows for genuine connection. Because the real woman is present, any connection that forms is with the real woman, not a performance. Self-possessed women also tend to be interesting in a way that pleasers and chameleons are not. When you are willing to have your own opinions and preferences, you become a distinct individual rather than a blur. You might not be universally appealing, but you will be deeply appealing to those who resonate with who you actually are. And that is what you want anyway. Not the approval of everyone, but the genuine connection with those who are right for you. Let me give you an example of how this might look in practice. Imagine a woman on a date with a man who mentions that he loves a certain musician that she actually finds quite boring. A woman lacking self-possession might pretend to share his enthusiasm, hoping to create connection through agreement. She might say something like, "Oh, I love them too," when in fact, she has never listened to more than one or two of their songs. A self-possessed woman handles this very differently. She might say something like, "I have never really connected with their music. What is it about them that you love?" This is not being difficult or contrary. It is being honest while remaining curious and engaged. It invites real conversation rather than false agreement. It shows that she is genuinely interested in understanding him, not just performing agreement. And here is the beautiful paradox. This kind of gentle honesty creates more genuine connection than agreement ever could. Now they are actually talking, actually exploring their different tastes and perspectives. The man is encountering a real person with her own views, not a mirror reflecting his own opinions back to him. This is far more interesting and far more intimate. Self-possession also means having clear boundaries and maintaining them without apology. A self-possessed woman knows what she will and will not accept. She knows what she needs in a relationship. She knows what her deal breakers are, and she communicates these clearly, not with aggression or defensiveness, but with simple, grounded clarity. Many women struggle with boundaries because they have been taught that being loving means being accommodating, that good women put others' needs ahead of their own, that having standards is the same as being demanding or difficult. These messages are damaging and they must be unlearned. The truth is that healthy boundaries are an act of love, both for yourself and for others. When you are clear about your boundaries, you are not deceiving anyone. You are giving them accurate information about who you are and what being in relationship with you requires. This is respectful, not harsh. It allows others to make informed choices about whether to engage with you. Furthermore, boundaries protect the relationship itself. When you do not have boundaries, resentment builds. You end up doing things you do not want to do, accepting treatment you do not want to accept, and that resentment poisons the connection. With healthy boundaries, you only say yes when you mean yes, which means your yeses actually mean something. A man who is worth your time will respect and appreciate your boundaries. He might even be relieved by them because they take the guesswork out of the relationship. He does not have to wonder if you are secretly unhappy because you will tell him if something is not working. He does not have to worry about accidentally crossing lines because you have made those lines clear. Developing self-possession is a lifelong journey, but there are practices that can help. Spending time alone getting to know yourself is essential. Many women have never really explored their own preferences and values because they have been so focused on others. Try doing things alone. Go to restaurants, museums, movies by yourself. Pay attention to what you actually enjoy, not what you think you should enjoy. Practice speaking your truth in low-stakes situations. If someone asks if you liked a movie and you did not, say so honestly but kindly. If someone suggests an activity you are not interested in, practice declining gracefully. Build the muscle of being yourself in small moments, and it becomes easier to do in larger ones. Examine the places where you tend to abandon yourself. Do you go along with things to avoid conflict? Do you hide certain aspects of yourself from certain people? Do you have opinions you never voice? Start to bring these hidden parts of yourself into the light. Not aggressively, but gradually and gently. Cultivate a deep acceptance of yourself, including the parts you might not love. Self-possession is not about being perfect. It is about being real. And being real means accepting that you have flaws and quirks, and aspects that are not universally appealing. That is okay. That is human. When you can accept these parts of yourself, you stop trying to hide them, and a new freedom emerges. Part 4. The magnetism of genuine presence. Another crucial component of this magnetic vibe is what we might call genuine presence. This is the quality of being fully here, fully now, fully engaged with whoever is in front of you. It sounds simple, but it is actually quite rare. Most people are physically present but mentally elsewhere. They are thinking about what they are going to say next, worrying about how they are being perceived, planning their evening, replaying a conversation from yesterday, checking their phone, or lost in some other distraction. Genuine presence is rare, and when you encounter it, you feel it immediately. You feel seen and heard in a way that stands out from ordinary interactions. You feel like you matter, like what you are saying is actually landing with someone. This is a powerful gift to give anyone, and it is incredibly attractive. Men in particular often feel unseen and unheard in their lives. Despite stereotypes about male emotional unavailability, many men crave genuine connection and rarely find it. They are used to interactions that are transactional or superficial. They are used to people wanting something from them or projecting something onto them. When they encounter a woman who is genuinely present with them, who is actually interested in who they are beyond what they can provide, it is striking. This presence is different from the intensity of infatuation, where someone hangs on your every word because they are fixated on you. That kind of attention actually has a grasping quality to it. It is more about the person's needs and projections than about genuine interest in the other. Genuine presence, by contrast, has a relaxed quality. It is curious without being needy. It is engaged without being grabby. How do you develop genuine presence? The foundation is learning to be present with yourself. If you cannot be present with your own experience, you cannot truly be present with anyone else. Practices like meditation are invaluable here. They train the mind to stay focused on the present moment rather than wandering into past or future. Even a few minutes of daily meditation can dramatically increase your capacity for presence. Beyond meditation, cultivate the habit of single tasking. In our multitasking culture, we have lost the ability to do one thing at a time with full attention. Practice giving your complete attention to whatever you are doing, whether it is eating a meal, taking a walk, or listening to music. This builds the muscle of presence that you can then bring to your interactions with others. When you are with another person, practice truly listening. This means listening to understand, not to respond. It means setting aside your own agenda and opinions temporarily to really take in what the other person is communicating. It means noticing not just their words, but their tone, their body language, their energy. It means being curious about their inner world. Genuine presence also means bringing your authentic self to the interaction. It is not just about receiving the other person, but about truly being there yourself. This means being honest about what you think and feel. It means contributing to the conversation from your real perspective, not performing a role. It means allowing yourself to be seen, which is vulnerable and courageous. When you combine genuine presence with emotional sovereignty and self-possession, something magical happens. You become a woman who can fully receive others without losing herself. You can hold space for someone's experience without taking it on as your own. You can be interested without being invasive. You can be caring without being controlling. This is a rare combination, and it is extraordinarily magnetic. I want to note that genuine presence is particularly powerful in contrast to the distracted, phone-addicted quality of modern interaction. When you are with someone who is genuinely present, the absence of devices and distractions is noticeable. It signals that you value the person enough to give them your full attention. In an age of constant partial attention, this stands out dramatically. Part 5. The attraction of aliveness. Another key element of the magnetic vibe we are exploring is what I will call aliveness. This is the quality of being fully engaged with life, curious about the world, open to new experiences, still growing and learning and evolving. It is the opposite of the deadness that can set in when people stop reaching for anything new and simply coast through their days. Aliveness is attractive at any age, but it is particularly notable in older women because society often expects women to become less alive as they age. The stereotype of the older woman is someone who has settled into a narrow routine, who has stopped growing, who is out of touch with the current world, who is focused on the past rather than the present or future. When an older woman defies this stereotype by being vibrantly alive, it is compelling precisely because it is unexpected. What does aliveness look like? It is curiosity. The alive woman is interested in the world. She reads, she explores, she asks questions. She wants to understand how things work and why people do what they do. She has not concluded that she knows everything she needs to know. She approaches life with the openness of someone who knows there is always more to discover. Aliveness is also passion. The alive woman has things she cares about deeply, whether that is her work, her creative pursuits, her relationships, causes she believes in, or interests she cultivates. She has not become numb or indifferent. She is still capable of being moved, inspired, outraged, delighted. Her emotional palette is rich and varied. Aliveness is growth. The alive woman is still becoming, still evolving, still working on herself. She is not the same person she was 10 years ago, and she will not be the same person 10 years from now. She welcomes this evolution. She sees life as an ongoing opportunity for learning and transformation. Aliveness is also presence in the body. Many people, as they age, gradually disconnect from their physical selves. They stop moving, stop touching, stop experiencing physical pleasure. They retreat into their heads. The alive woman, by contrast, stays connected to her physical self. She moves her body in ways that feel good, whether that is dancing, walking, swimming, yoga, or any other form of movement. She enjoys sensory pleasures. She has not abandoned the realm of the physical. Men are drawn to aliveness because it is energizing to be around. When you spend time with an alive person, you feel more alive yourself. Their energy is contagious. Their curiosity sparks your own curiosity. Their enthusiasm reminds you of possibilities you might have forgotten. In contrast, spending time with someone who is dead inside is draining. Their stagnation pulls at you like gravity. Aliveness is also attractive because it signals that a woman has not given up on life, on herself, on the possibilities ahead. This is appealing on both a conscious and unconscious level. Consciously, it suggests she would be an interesting and engaging partner. Unconsciously, it signals health and vitality, which are universally attractive traits. Some women worry that they have lost their aliveness and that it is too late to get it back. This is not true. Aliveness can be rekindled at any point. It is a choice and a practice, not a fixed trait. If you feel that your aliveness has dimmed, there are concrete steps you can take to reignite it. Start by reintroducing novelty into your life. When did you last do something for the first time? When did you last learn something entirely new? The brain comes alive with novelty. It gets bored with endless repetition. Shake up your routines. Take a different route to work. Try a cuisine you have never had. Learn a skill you have always been curious about. These small acts of novelty begin to wake up your sense of aliveness. Reconnect with what brought you joy earlier in your life. Many women abandon their passions and interests as they take on responsibilities and caretaking roles. What did you love as a child? What made you lose track of time in your 20s? These clues point to sources of aliveness that might have been neglected but are not lost. You can return to them or find their equivalents in your current life. Prioritize experiences over possessions. Research consistently shows that experiences make us happier than things. The anticipation, the experience itself, and the memories afterward all contribute to well-being. Plan trips, even small ones. Attend events that interest you. Create experiences with people you care about. This orientation toward experience keeps life feeling fresh and engaging. Stay connected with people who are themselves alive. Aliveness is contagious, but so is deadness. If you spend all your time with people who have given up on growth and exploration, that mindset will seep into you. Seek out friends and companions who are still curious, still growing, still excited about possibilities. Take care of your physical self. Aliveness requires energy, and energy requires physical health. Move your body. Eat well. Sleep enough. These basics are the foundation on which aliveness rests. Part 6. The power of warmth and compassion. We have discussed emotional sovereignty and self-possession, which are qualities of inner strength and stability. But the magnetic vibe we are exploring is not only about strength, it also includes warmth. The most magnetic older women combine inner steel with genuine warmth and compassion. They are strong but not cold. They are boundaried but not closed off. They have the capacity to receive others with genuine kindness and care. Warmth is attractive because it feels like safety and acceptance. When you are around a warm person, you feel like you can relax, like you do not have to perform or prove yourself. You feel like your imperfections will be met with understanding rather than judgment. This is deeply comforting, especially for men who often feel they are constantly being evaluated and found wanting. Warmth is different from people-pleasing. A people-pleaser might seem warm on the surface, but there is an anxious quality to it. Their kindness is driven by fear of rejection, by a need for approval, by an inability to tolerate anyone's displeasure. This is not true warmth. It is a transaction. The people-pleaser is being nice so that you will be nice back. so that they can avoid the discomfort of conflict or disapproval. Genuine warmth comes from a different place entirely. It arises from fullness rather than emptiness. The warm woman has so much that she can afford to give. She is kind, not because she needs something in return, but because kindness is simply who she is. Her warmth is unconditional, not contingent on your behavior toward her. This is the warmth that is truly magnetic. Compassion is a specific form of warmth that deserves attention. Compassion means the ability to see and feel another's suffering without judgment, to hold space for their pain, to wish for their well-being. In our judgmental world, where people are quick to criticize and slow to understand, compassion is a rare gift. The woman with genuine compassion can see behind people's difficult behaviors to the pain that often drives them. She understands that hurt people hurt people. She does not excuse bad behavior, but she can hold both accountability and compassion simultaneously. She responds to the wounded human beneath the surface, not just the surface presentation. This compassion extends to herself as well. A woman who is harsh and critical with herself will inevitably leak that harshness onto others, no matter how hard she tries to hide it. But a woman who has learned to be compassionate with her own imperfections naturally extends that compassion to everyone. Self-compassion and compassion for others grow together. How do you cultivate warmth and compassion? It begins with softening the harsh inner critic that so many of us have internalized. Notice how you talk to yourself when you make a mistake or fall short of your standards. Is that voice kind or cruel? Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself? Most people are much harder on themselves than they would ever be on someone they love. Practice speaking to yourself with the kindness you would offer a dear friend. When you catch your inner critic being harsh, deliberately replace it with a gentler voice. This is not about being soft on yourself in the sense of having no standards. You can still want to grow and improve, but you can do that with kindness rather than cruelty. Develop genuine interest in others. Warmth requires seeing others as full human beings with their own struggles, hopes, and fears. Take time to really understand the people in your life. Ask them about their experiences, listen to their stories. Try to imagine what life looks like from their perspective. This curiosity and effort to understand naturally generates compassion. Practice small acts of kindness that have no ulterior motive. Hold doors. Offer genuine compliments. Check in on people who might be struggling. Contribute to the well-being of others in ways that are not transactional. This practice keeps your heart open and strengthens the habit of kindness. Take care of yourself so that you have resources to give. This might seem counterintuitive, but it is essential. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are depleted, running on fumes, neglecting your own needs, you will not have genuine warmth to offer anyone. Warmth comes from overflow, not sacrifice. Part 7. The attraction of depth and wisdom. One of the greatest advantages older women have is depth. Years of living, of experiencing both joy and sorrow, of making mistakes and learning from them, of observing human nature, of questioning and seeking and discovering, creates a depth that younger people simply cannot have yet. This depth is deeply attractive because it offers something rare, the possibility of real conversation, real connection, real understanding. Men often complain, sometimes fairly and sometimes unfairly, that they struggle to find women who can engage them intellectually, who can discuss ideas, who can offer perspectives that make them think. Whether or not this complaint is justified, it is true that many social interactions remain at a superficial level. We talk about weather, sports, celebrities, the mundane logistics of daily life. We rarely venture into deeper waters. A woman with depth can go there. She can discuss philosophy, psychology, spirituality, politics, art, science, the meaning of life, the nature of love. She has thought about these things. She has perspectives shaped by both study and experience. She is comfortable in the realm of ideas and the realm of feelings. This depth makes conversation with her rewarding in a way that surface chat is not. A man leaves the interaction having thought about something in a new way, having felt understood on a deeper level, having touched something real. This is memorable. This stands out. This is what makes someone want to return for more. Depth is also attractive because it signals that a woman can handle depth in all areas, including emotional depth in a relationship. Many relationships stay shallow because one or both partners are not capable of going deeper. They cannot tolerate too much intimacy, too much truth, too much realness. A woman with depth can tolerate and even thrive in deep waters. She can handle difficult conversations. She can sit with complexity and ambiguity. She can be present through the hard stuff. How does one cultivate depth? Primarily through serious engagement with life. Read widely. Think deeply about what you read. Do not just consume content passively, but engage with it, question it, apply it to your own experience. Have conversations about meaningful topics with people who challenge and stimulate you. Seek out experiences that take you outside your comfort zone. Travel if you can. Meet people from different backgrounds. Encounter different ways of living and thinking. Every new experience and perspective adds to your depth. Do inner work, therapy, journaling, meditation, honest self-reflection. These practices deepen your self-knowledge and your understanding of human nature. The woman who has done serious inner work has a depth that cannot be faked. Embrace the full range of your emotional experience. Depth includes the willingness to feel and process difficult emotions. Many people try to stay in the shallows emotionally, avoiding grief, anger, fear, sadness. But these darker feelings, when processed rather than avoided, add richness and depth to your inner life. Develop your own perspectives rather than simply adopting the opinions of others. Think for yourself. Question received wisdom. Arrive at your own conclusions. A woman with genuinely original thoughts is far more interesting than one who simply echoes what she has heard. Wisdom is a particular kind of depth that comes specifically from accumulated life experience. Wisdom is not the same as knowledge. It is the capacity to navigate life skillfully, to see clearly, to know what matters and what does not, to make good choices. Wisdom comes from having lived, from having learned from experience, from having thought deeply about what life has taught you. Older women who have reflected on their experiences develop wisdom that is visible in how they carry themselves and how they engage with life. They do not sweat the small stuff because they know what the big stuff is. They do not chase what does not matter because they have learned what matters. They are not easily rattled because they have survived rattling experiences and know they can survive more. This wisdom is attractive because it is reassuring. A man in the presence of a wise woman feels that he is with someone who can be a real partner in navigating life. She brings perspective and judgment to the table. She will not create unnecessary drama or be derailed by trivial concerns. She will be a steady presence through whatever life brings. Part 8. The Magnetism of Mystery and Privacy. In our oversharing age, where people post every detail of their lives on social media, there is something deeply compelling about a woman who maintains some mystery. She does not reveal everything immediately. She does not broadcast her every thought and feeling to the world. She has a rich inner life that she shares selectively with those who have earned access. This mystery is not about being deliberately withholding or playing games. It is not about the manipulative advice to keep him guessing. It is about having genuine depth and privacy, about being a full person with layers that unfold over time, rather than an open book that can be read in one sitting. Mystery is attractive because it invites curiosity. When everything is known, there is nothing left to discover. But when there are layers, when there is more to learn, when each conversation reveals something new, there is reason to keep returning. The woman with mystery is like a book you cannot put down. You want to know more. Mystery also signals self-respect. A woman who shares everything with everyone is not valuing herself appropriately. She is giving away what should be earned. She is not requiring any investment before providing access. This can come across as desperate, as lacking boundaries, as not understanding her own worth. The woman with mystery, by contrast, has boundaries around her inner world. She decides what to share and with whom. She requires some demonstration of trustworthiness before revealing her deeper self. This selectivity signals value. It says this inner world is precious and access must be earned. How does one cultivate mystery? First, simply by having a rich inner life that genuinely contains depths to discover. If you are a shallow person, you will not become mysterious by withholding. There is nothing to withhold. Develop your inner world through the practices we have discussed: reading, thinking, experiencing, feeling, growing. Become a person who actually has depths. Second, resist the urge to reveal everything immediately. In early stages of connection, share appropriately but not exhaustively. Let the relationship develop naturally over time, with each layer of intimacy corresponding to an earned deepening of trust. Third, maintain areas of your life that are just for you. Not every hobby needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Have experiences and pursuits that are yours alone. This preserves your sense of self and creates genuine mystery, because there truly are parts of you that others do not fully know. Fourth, be comfortable with silence and not knowing. A mysterious woman does not fill every pause with chatter. She can sit in silence. She can let questions hang in the air. She does not feel compelled to explain herself at every moment. This comfort with the unknown is itself attractive and contributes to her mysterious quality. Part 9. The power of sexual self-acceptance. This is a topic that many shy away from, but it is essential to discuss. Part of the magnetic vibe that draws men to certain older women is a quality of sexual self-acceptance. This does not mean being provocative or overtly sexual. It means being comfortable with yourself as a sexual being, at peace with your body, unashamed of your desires. Many women develop more sexual confidence and self-acceptance as they age. The anxieties and self-consciousness of youth often fade. They know their bodies better. They know what they want and how to ask for it. They have let go of the rigid standards of attractiveness that made them feel inadequate in their younger years. This comfort in their own skin is deeply attractive. Men can sense when a woman is uncomfortable with her sexuality. It creates a tension, an awkwardness, a sense that this territory is somehow shameful or dangerous. But when they encounter a woman who is at peace with her sexuality, who owns it without apology, who is neither repressed nor performatively provocative, it is compelling. This is not about behaving in any particular way. A sexually self-accepting woman might express her sexuality very subtly or very openly, depending on her personality and the context. The key is not the expression, but the underlying acceptance. She has made peace with this aspect of herself. She is not at war with her body or her desires. How does one develop sexual self-acceptance? It begins with challenging the shameful messages many women have internalized about female sexuality. Many of us were taught implicitly or explicitly that female desire is somehow wrong or dangerous or shameful. These messages must be unlearned. It involves developing a loving relationship with your body as it is, not as you wish it were. Your body is yours. It has carried you through life. It deserves love and acceptance. not criticism and rejection. Practice appreciating your body for what it can do and what it allows you to experience. It includes understanding your own desires and being at peace with them. What turns you on? What do you fantasize about? What brings you pleasure? Knowing the answers to these questions and accepting them without judgment is part of sexual self-acceptance. It means letting go of comparative thinking. Your sexuality is yours. It does not need to look like anyone else's. You do not need to meet anyone else's standards. What matters is your own relationship with this aspect of yourself. For women who have experienced sexual trauma, this area may require more careful work, possibly with the support of a therapist. Trauma can create deep wounds around sexuality that take time and care to heal. This healing is possible and worthwhile. Part 10. The attraction of selectivity. Another quality that contributes to the magnetic vibe is selectivity. This means being discerning about who you give your time and attention to. It means having standards. It means not being available to everyone equally, not spreading yourself thin trying to please everyone, not being so hungry for connection that you will accept anyone who shows interest. Selectivity is attractive because it signals value. Think about how we perceive things in general. Something that is freely available to everyone seems less valuable than something that is scarce. This is not just shallow surface perception. It reflects a genuine truth. A woman who is selective is telling the world that her time and attention are precious, that not everyone qualifies for them, that access to her must be earned. This is the opposite of the desperate energy that pushes people away. Desperation says, I need someone, anyone, please want me. Selectivity says, I am complete in myself. I do not need to be with anyone. If you want to be with me, you will need to bring something real to the table. Selectivity does not mean being cold, arrogant, or playing hard to get. It is not about games or manipulation. It is about genuine self-respect. It is about knowing your worth and requiring that others recognize it too. It is about only investing in connections that are truly mutual, where both people are bringing value. How does one cultivate selectivity? It starts with genuinely valuing yourself. If you do not believe you are valuable, you will accept whatever comes your way. But if you truly know your worth, you naturally become more discerning. Work on your self-esteem and self-worth through the practices we have discussed. Get clear on what you are looking for in a connection. What qualities matter to you? What are your deal breakers? What does a healthy relationship look like? When you know what you want, you can evaluate potential connections against that standard. Practice saying no. Many women struggle to decline anything, to set limits, to refuse what is offered, but selectivity requires the ability to say no. This does not meet my standards without apology or excessive explanation. Practice this in small ways to build the muscle. Pay attention to how people make you feel. Not everyone deserves your energy. Some people are draining, negative, disrespectful, or simply not a good match. Be willing to withdraw your attention from people who do not enhance your life. Do not be afraid of being alone. The fear of being alone drives many women to accept less than they deserve. But being alone is far better than being in a bad connection. When you are at peace with solitude, you can be truly selective because you are not acting from desperation. Part 11. The magnetism of emotional generosity. While we have discussed boundaries and selectivity, it is equally important to discuss emotional generosity. The most magnetic women are not stingy with their energy. They give freely of their attention, appreciation, and affection. They make people feel good about themselves. They leave others better than they found them. This might seem to contradict what we said about selectivity, but it actually complements it. The selective woman is careful about who enters her inner circle. But once you are in that circle, she is generous. She does not hold back. She does not make you constantly earn her warmth. She gives freely and abundantly. This emotional generosity is attractive because it creates positive experiences. Every interaction with such a woman leaves you feeling good. She notices what is good about you and reflects it back. She celebrates your wins. She is genuinely happy for your happiness. She does not compete or compare. She gives compliments easily because she sees the good in others naturally. Many people are emotionally stingy. They withhold compliments, fearing it will inflate egos. They are slow to express appreciation. They keep others on edge, never quite sure where they stand. This is exhausting to be around. In contrast, emotional generosity creates ease and warmth. It makes being around that person feel like being in sunshine. Emotional generosity includes the specific quality of appreciation. The emotionally generous woman notices and acknowledges the good things others do. She does not take people for granted. She expresses thanks. She lets people know that their efforts are seen and valued. For men who often feel unappreciated and taken for granted, this is incredibly attractive. Many men report feeling like nothing they do is ever enough, like their contributions are invisible or expected rather than appreciated. A woman who genuinely appreciates them is a rare and precious find. How does one cultivate emotional generosity? It begins with abundance thinking. When you operate from a mindset of scarcity, you hoard. When you operate from a mindset of abundance, you give freely. Cultivate the belief that there is enough love, appreciation, and good energy to go around. Your giving does not deplete you. In fact, giving often multiplies what you have. Practice noticing the good in others and expressing it. Get in the habit of giving genuine compliments. When someone does something you appreciate, tell them. When you notice something you admire about someone, let them know. This practice benefits them, and it also trains your mind to look for the good. Develop genuine interest in others. Ask about their lives, their dreams, their struggles. Remember what they tell you and follow up. This attention is a form of generosity. It says you matter enough for me to be curious about your life. Give without keeping score. True generosity does not track what it is owed. It gives freely without expectation of return. This does not mean being a doormat or allowing exploitation. It means that your default mode is giving rather than calculating. Part 12. The Power of Playfulness and Humor. Life is hard. Most adults carry heavy burdens, responsibilities, worries, disappointments, grief. In this context, a woman who can be playful, who can bring lightness and humor, is a breath of fresh air. Playfulness is not childishness. It does not mean being irresponsible or unserious about things that matter. It means having access to the lighter side of existence, being able to laugh, being able to play, being able to find joy in small moments. It means not taking yourself so seriously that you cannot be teased or cannot admit when you are being ridiculous. This quality is especially attractive in older women because there is an expectation that age brings heaviness and rigidity. When an older woman defies this expectation by being playful and light, it is delightful. It suggests that she has found a way to carry life's weight without being crushed by it. Humor is particularly powerful in attraction. The ability to laugh together creates bonding. Shared humor is a form of intimacy. When two people find the same things funny, it signals compatibility. It creates inside jokes and shared references that become the texture of connection. A woman with a good sense of humor can diffuse tension, navigate awkward moments, and make even difficult conversations more bearable. She brings ease to interactions. She makes being around her fun rather than work. How does one cultivate playfulness and humor? It helps to deliberately seek out sources of laughter in your life. Watch comedy. Spend time with funny people. Do not let yourself become so consumed by seriousness that laughter becomes foreign. Practice not taking yourself too seriously. Be willing to be silly. Be willing to laugh at yourself when you do something ridiculous. This self-deprecating humor is charming and puts others at ease. Look for the absurdity in life. If you pay attention, life is often quite funny. Situations arise that are objectively ridiculous. Learn to notice and appreciate the comedy in daily existence. Bring playfulness to your interactions. Not everything needs to be earnest and heavy. Engage in verbal play, gentle teasing, spontaneous silliness. This lightness makes interactions more enjoyable for everyone. Part 13. The attraction of ambition and passion. A woman with her own ambitions and passions is deeply attractive. She has things in her life that matter to her, that she is working toward, that give her a sense of purpose and direction. She is not waiting around for someone to give her life meaning. She is actively creating a meaningful life. This is attractive because it signals several things. First, it shows that she is not desperate for a relationship to complete her. She has a full life already. A relationship would be a wonderful addition, but it is not a necessary rescue. This lack of desperation is itself attractive. Second, ambition and passion are energizing. A woman who is excited about her work, her creative projects, her causes, brings that energy to everything she does, including her relationships. She is interesting because she has interesting things going on. Third, a woman with her own pursuits gives a relationship room to breathe. She will not need her partner to be her entire world. She has her own sources of fulfillment. This takes pressure off the relationship and allows it to be what it should be, a complement to a full life, not a substitute for one. What does this look like practically? It might be career ambition, striving for achievement in her professional field. It might be creative passion, pouring energy into art, music, writing, or other creative pursuits. It might be cause-driven, dedicating herself to making the world better in some way. It might be learning and growth, constantly developing new skills and knowledge. It might be any combination of these or something else entirely. The specific content of her ambition or passion matters less than the quality of engagement. What matters is that she cares deeply about something, that she is actively working towards something, that she has a sense of purpose that extends beyond her relationships. How does one cultivate this? Start by identifying what genuinely matters to you. What would you do if you had all the time and resources in the world? What makes you lose track of time? What topics can you talk about endlessly? These clues point to your passions. Give yourself permission to pursue what matters to you. Many women have learned to subordinate their own ambitions to the needs and wishes of others. Unlearn this. Your ambitions are valid. Your passions deserve time and energy. Take concrete steps toward your goals. Ambition without action is just daydreaming. Set goals. Make plans. Take steps forward, even small ones. The act of striving itself is energizing and attractive. Do not hide your ambitions out of fear of being seen as threatening or unfeminine. The right man will be attracted to your ambition, not intimidated by it. A man who is threatened by a woman with ambition is not a man you want anyway. Part 14. The magnetism of integrity and authenticity. Integrity is the alignment between what you say and what you do, between your public presentation and your private reality. A woman of integrity keeps her promises. Her words mean something. You can rely on what she tells you. Authenticity is related but distinct. It is about being real, being genuine, not putting on false fronts. An authentic woman does not pretend to be something she is not. She shows up as herself, without masks or performances. Together, integrity and authenticity create trustworthiness. You know where you stand with a woman who has these qualities. You do not have to wonder if she is being honest with you, or if what you see is what you get. This creates a foundation on which genuine connection can be built. These qualities are attractive because they are rare. Many people say one thing and do another. Many people present carefully curated versions of themselves that bear little resemblance to reality. In a world of spin and performance, encountering someone who is simply real and honest stands out. For men who often feel they have to navigate game playing and mixed signals in dating, a woman of integrity and authenticity is refreshing. They can take her at her word. They do not have to decode hidden meanings or play detective. This simplicity is a relief. How does one cultivate integrity? Be careful with your words. Do not make promises you cannot keep. Do not say things you do not mean. If you say you will do something, do it. This might mean committing to less, but what you do commit to, you honor. When you fall short, acknowledge it. Nobody is perfect. Integrity does not mean never making mistakes. It means owning them when you do, making amends and trying to do better. Align your actions with your values. Know what you believe and live accordingly. When there is a gap between your stated values and your behavior, close it. How does one cultivate authenticity? Stop performing. Many of us have been performing roles for so long that we have lost touch with who we really are. Start peeling back the layers. What do you actually think, feel, want, value? Get to know yourself. Be willing to be seen in your imperfection. Authenticity means showing up as a real, flawed human, not as a polished image. This is vulnerable. It requires courage, but it is the only path to genuine connection. Notice when you are being inauthentic and explore why. What are you afraid of? What do you think you need to hide? What would happen if you showed that part of yourself? Usually, our fears are overblown. Surround yourself with people who value the real you. We are more likely to be authentic when we feel safe. Find and nurture relationships where you can truly be yourself. Part 15. The power of being comfortable with masculine energy. Here is a subtle but important aspect of the magnetic vibe. The most attractive older women are comfortable with masculine energy. They appreciate it rather than fear it, compete with it, or try to dominate it. They allow men to be men, and they enjoy the polarity this creates. This does not mean being submissive or passive. It does not mean accepting disrespect or poor treatment. It does not mean believing men are superior or that women should defer to them. None of that. What it means is understanding and appreciating the masculine and being able to dance with it rather than fight it. It means not needing to prove that you are equal by being the same. It means enjoying the interplay of complementary energies rather than seeing gender differences as a zero-sum competition. Many modern women have adopted an adversarial stance toward masculine energy. Given historical and ongoing injustices, this is understandable. But there is a difference between fighting for equality and rights, which is necessary, and being at war with the masculine, which creates disconnection. The woman who is at peace with masculine energy can appreciate a man's strength without feeling threatened. She can receive his provision and protection without feeling diminished. She can enjoy being pursued without feeling objectified. She can admire traditionally masculine qualities without feeling that this diminishes traditionally feminine qualities. This comfort creates the conditions for genuine polarity, which is what many men and women find deeply attractive in each other. When masculine and feminine energies can meet and dance, there is an electricity that is not possible when one or both parties are defensive or competitive. How does one develop this comfort? Examine your beliefs about men and masculinity. Where did they come from? Are they serving you? Many women have internalized negative generalizations about men that create barriers to connection. Challenge beliefs that are overly negative or generalizing. Distinguish between toxic masculinity and healthy masculinity. There are certainly destructive expressions of masculine energy, domination, violence, emotional suppression. But there are also healthy expressions: protection, provision, leadership, strength. Learn to discern the difference rather than throwing out the masculine altogether. Practice receiving. Many women have become so self-sufficient that they have trouble receiving anything from men. They insist on splitting every bill, refuse help when offered, pride themselves on needing no one. While independence is good, the inability to receive creates barriers to intimacy. Practice accepting help, compliments, gifts, and gestures with grace. Appreciate the men in your life for their masculine qualities. Notice and acknowledge when they are being strong, protective, helpful. Your appreciation allows them to express these qualities more, which creates a positive cycle. Part 16. The attraction of not needing rescue. A crucial component of the magnetic vibe is what we might call completeness without a relationship. This means being a whole person on your own, not looking for someone else to complete you, rescue you, or give your life meaning. Your life is already meaningful. You are already complete. A relationship would be wonderful, but it is not a desperate necessity. This is attractive because it removes the burden that desperation places on potential partners. No one wants to be responsible for someone else's happiness. No one wants to be the solution to someone else's loneliness or lack of meaning. These are impossible burdens that no relationship can actually bear. When a man encounters a woman who does not need rescue, he can relax. He can pursue her because he wants to, not because she is pushing for it. He can be with her because it is good, not because it is obligatory. The relationship can develop organically rather than being forced by one party's neediness. This completeness also makes a woman more attractive in herself. A woman who has built a good life, meaningful work, deep friendships, fulfilling pursuits, inner peace, is simply more interesting and appealing than one whose life is empty and waiting to be filled by a relationship. Furthermore, relationships formed from completeness are healthier than those formed from neediness. When two whole people come together, they can create something greater than the sum of its parts. But when two incomplete people come together, each hoping the other will fill their emptiness, the result is usually disappointment and dysfunction. How does one cultivate this sense of completeness? Build a life that is fulfilling on its own terms. Do not put your life on hold, waiting for a relationship. Pursue your goals, develop your interests, invest in friendships, create meaning and purpose that do not depend on having a partner. Work on healing the wounds that create neediness. Often, the desperate search for a relationship is driven by unresolved childhood wounds, fear of abandonment, or lack of self-worth. Therapy, self-help, and inner work can address these root causes. Practice being alone and finding it satisfying rather than painful. Solitude can be rich and nourishing, not just something to endure until you find someone. Learn to enjoy your own company. Cultivate multiple sources of fulfillment. If all your eggs are in the relationship basket, the pressure on that relationship becomes unbearable. But if you have many sources of meaning and satisfaction, any single relationship becomes one part of a full life, rather than your entire life. Part 17. The magnetism of standards. Having standards means knowing what you want and what you will not accept, and holding the line on both. It means not settling for less than you deserve. It means being willing to walk away from what is not good enough. Standards are attractive because they signal self-respect. A woman with standards clearly values herself. She is not desperate enough to accept anything. She knows her worth and requires that others recognize it. Standards also function as a filter. They screen out men who are not serious, not capable of meeting a quality woman's needs, not ready for real partnership. This saves time and energy that would otherwise be wasted on unsuitable connections. For men who are serious and capable, A woman with standards is appealing precisely because of those standards. They want a woman who requires something of them, who will not accept just anyone, who is a prize worth winning. A woman who accepts anyone does not feel like a prize. What kind of standards are we talking about? They include standards for how you are treated, being spoken to respectfully, having your time valued, being prioritized appropriately. They include standards for effort, expecting that a man will pursue you, plan thoughtfully, follow through on what he says. They include standards for character, requiring honesty, integrity, emotional availability, and the other qualities necessary for healthy partnership. They include standards for compatibility, not trying to force connections with people who are fundamentally wrong for you. Having standards does not mean being unrealistic or having an endless list of specific requirements. It does not mean demanding perfection or dismissing anyone who falls short in any way. It means knowing the non-negotiables and holding firm on those while remaining open and flexible on things that matter less. How does one develop and maintain standards? Get clear on what you truly need in a relationship, not what sounds good or what you think you should want, but what you genuinely require to be happy and healthy in partnership. Write these down, refer to them, examine your past relationships for patterns. Where did you settle? What did you accept that you should not have? What were the warning signs you ignored? These experiences can inform your standards going forward. Practice enforcing your standards even when it is uncomfortable. This might mean ending dates with people who are rude. It might mean not responding to low-effort communications. It might mean breaking up with someone who is not meeting your needs. These actions are hard but necessary. Surround yourself with people who support your standards. Friends who encourage you to settle or who think your standards are too high will undermine you. Seek out friends who reinforce your self-worth and hold you accountable to your standards. Part 18. The Power of Calm and Peace. There is something incredibly attractive about a woman who is calm. In a world of anxiety, drama, and chaos, her peaceful presence is like an oasis. Being around her feels restorative rather than depleting. She brings the temperature down rather than up. This calmness is not coldness or flatness. It is not the absence of emotion. It is the presence of groundedness. She feels her feelings fully, but is not run by them. She can be in the midst of challenge or conflict while remaining centered. Her inner peace is not dependent on external circumstances being perfect. This calm comes from deep self-trust. She knows she can handle whatever arises. She has been through difficulties before and emerged intact. She does not need to panic because she knows that panic does not help. She can stay present with what is, respond thoughtfully, and trust that she will find her way through. For men, this calmness is deeply appealing. Many men have experienced relationships that felt like walking on eggshells, never knowing when an explosion might come. They have been with women whose emotional volatility created constant tension. A calm woman is a relief. Being with her does not require constant vigilance or management. He can relax in her presence. Calmness also signals maturity and wisdom. Reactivity is often a sign of immaturity, the inability to regulate one's emotional state. A woman who has developed the ability to stay calm under pressure has clearly done significant inner work. This is attractive in itself and also bodes well for her capacity to handle the challenges that any relationship will face. How does one cultivate calmness? Develop a regular practice that builds inner peace. This might be meditation, yoga, time in nature, prayer, or another contemplative practice. Consistent practice over time genuinely changes your baseline state, making you calmer even when you are not actively practicing. Work on your relationship with your nervous system. Much of our reactivity comes from a dysregulated nervous system, stuck in fight or flight. Learn to recognize when you are activated and develop practices that help you return to calm. Breathwork, grounding exercises, and somatic practices can all help. Create a life that supports calmness. If your life is chaotic, overscheduled, under-resourced, filled with drama, calmness will be difficult. Simplify where you can. Create space, reduce sources of unnecessary stress, examine and challenge thoughts that create anxiety. Much of our inner turmoil comes from catastrophic thinking, rumination, and unnecessary worry. Cognitive techniques can help you identify and shift these patterns. Practice acceptance of what you cannot control. Much suffering comes from resisting reality, from insisting that things should be other than they are. Developing acceptance, not approval or passivity, but acceptance, creates profound inner peace. Part 19. The attraction of a good relationship with solitude. A woman who is comfortable alone is deeply attractive. She does not need constant company or stimulation. She can spend time with herself and enjoy it. Solitude is nourishing for her rather than frightening. This is attractive because it signals security and completeness. A woman who fears being alone is often driven by that fear into poor choices, staying in bad relationships, accepting inadequate treatment, rushing into connections that are not right. A woman who is comfortable alone can make clear-eyed decisions. She is not running from anything. It is also attractive because it suggests rich inner resources. A woman who enjoys solitude has an inner life that sustains her. She is interesting to herself. She has thoughts, reflections, creativity, and depth that emerge in quiet moments. This same richness makes her interesting to others. Furthermore, a good relationship with solitude means she will not be clingy or demanding of constant attention. She understands that healthy relationships include space for individual pursuits. She will not make a man feel suffocated or drained by endless needs for togetherness. How does one develop a good relationship with solitude? Start by practicing it. If you rarely spend time alone, begin with small doses. Take yourself out to coffee. Go for walks alone. Spend an evening without screens or company. As you practice, solitude becomes less frightening and more enjoyable. Develop activities you enjoy doing alone. Reading, writing, crafting, gardening, cooking, hiking. Find solitary pursuits that bring you satisfaction. These give you something to look forward to in your alone time. Use solitude for self-reflection and growth. Journal. Meditate. Think deeply about your life, your choices, your direction. Solitude is an opportunity for the inner work that makes you a deeper, more self-aware person. Reframe your relationship with solitude. Instead of seeing it as loneliness or lack, see it as freedom and space. It is time that belongs entirely to you. Time to do exactly what you want. Time to connect with yourself. Recognize that solitude and connection are both essential. They are not opposites but complements. Good solitude makes you a better partner because you show up to relationships from fullness rather than emptiness. Embrace both. Part 20. The magnetism of grace under pressure. How a woman handles difficulty reveals her character. A woman who shows grace under pressure, who maintains her composure, her kindness, and her class when things get hard, is deeply attractive. Grace under pressure does not mean being unaffected by difficulty. It does not mean pretending everything is fine when it is not. It means facing challenges with dignity. It means not letting difficulty bring out your worst. It means treating others well, even when you are stressed. It means maintaining your values, even when it would be easier to abandon them. This quality is attractive because it signals strength and resilience. A woman who crumbles at the first sign of trouble is hard to rely on, but a woman who can weather storms with grace inspires confidence. You want her on your team because you know she will not fall apart when things get hard. It is also attractive because it is rare. Most people become their worst selves under pressure. They get short-tempered, selfish, mean. They take out their frustrations on those around them. They abandon their principles when they become inconvenient. A woman who maintains her grace in these moments stands out. For men considering a long-term partner, grace under pressure is particularly important. Life will bring challenges: illness, loss, financial stress, family difficulties. A man wants to know that his partner will face these with him with strength and dignity, rather than making everything harder with drama and dysfunction. How does one develop grace under pressure? Build inner resources in calm times, so they are available in difficult times. The practices that create calmness, groundedness, and emotional sovereignty all contribute to your capacity for grace under pressure. Prepare mentally for difficulty. Know that challenges will come. Rather than being blindsided when they do, expect them as part of life. This preparation helps you respond more gracefully. Focus on what you can control. Under pressure, it is easy to spiral into panic about things outside your control. Bring your attention back to what you can actually influence and take action there. This creates a sense of agency that supports grace. Maintain your self-care even in difficult times. Often when things get hard, we abandon the practices that sustain us. We stop sleeping, eating well, exercising, connecting with friends. This makes everything worse. Keeping up your self-care gives you the resources to handle difficulty with grace. Look for the growth opportunity in every challenge. Difficulty is not just something to endure, but something to learn from. When you approach challenges with curiosity about what they can teach you, it shifts your entire relationship with pressure. Part 21. The attraction of feminine receptivity. There is a quality called feminine receptivity that is deeply attractive to most men. This is the capacity to receive attention, affection, help, gifts, provision, protection. It is the ability to let a man give to you without deflecting, minimizing, or refusing. This might seem like a small thing, but it is actually quite significant. Many women have become so independent and self-sufficient that they have lost the ability to receive. They insist on paying for themselves. They refuse help even when it is offered. They deflect compliments instead of absorbing them. They do everything for themselves even when support is available. While independence is generally healthy, the inability to receive creates barriers to intimacy. Men often express love through giving. When their giving is consistently refused, they feel rejected and unneeded. They wonder what they have to contribute if the woman does not accept anything from them. Feminine receptivity is the opposite of neediness, but they can be confused. Neediness says, "I cannot survive without your giving." Receptivity says, "I do not need your giving, but I welcome it and appreciate it." Neediness drains. Receptivity invites. The difference is whether the receiving comes from emptiness or from fullness. A receptive woman makes a man feel useful and appreciated. His contribution matters. His provision is welcomed. His protection is valued. This creates a positive cycle where he wants to give more because giving to her feels so good. How does one develop receptivity? Practice receiving graciously. When someone gives you a compliment, say, "Thank you," and absorb it rather than deflecting. When someone offers to help, let them, at least sometimes. When someone wants to pay for something, accept graciously instead of fighting about it. Examine the beliefs that prevent you from receiving. Often there are deep beliefs underneath, that you do not deserve good things, that you must earn everything you get, that accepting means you are weak or dependent. Challenge these beliefs. Distinguish between healthy receptivity and unhealthy dependency. You can receive while also being capable of providing for yourself. Receiving is a choice, not a necessity. When it is a choice, it is receptivity. When it is forced by incapacity, it is dependency. Appreciate what you receive. Do not just accept passively, but actively appreciate. Thank the giver. Let them know it mattered. This appreciation makes giving rewarding and encourages more giving. Part 22. The power of seeing and appreciating men. Here is a subtle but powerful aspect of the magnetic vibe. The most attractive older women have developed the capacity to truly see and appreciate men, not as stereotypes or as means to ends, but as full human beings with their own struggles, desires, and needs. Many women, often without realizing it, do not really see men. They see what men can provide: security, status, validation, attention. They see the roles men fill in their lives: husband, provider, protector. But they do not see the actual human being beneath these functions. Men feel this. They know when they are being truly seen and when they are being viewed instrumentally. They know when a woman appreciates who they are versus what they can do for her. And being truly seen is rare and precious enough that it creates tremendous attraction. A woman who genuinely sees men understands that men have their own vulnerabilities, even if they rarely show them. She understands that men often feel enormous pressure to perform, provide, and achieve. She understands that beneath the stoic exterior there is a human being who wants to be understood and accepted, just like everyone else. This seeing and appreciating is different from naively ignoring men's flaws or excusing bad behavior. It is about extending to men the same curiosity, compassion, and appreciation that we would want extended to us. It is about treating them as individuals rather than as members of a category. How does one develop this capacity? Cultivate genuine curiosity about men's experiences, ask questions, and really listen to the answers. What is it like to be a man in today's world? What pressures do they face? What do they struggle with? What are their fears and hopes? Challenge negative generalizations you might hold about men. If you find yourself thinking all men are a certain way, stop and examine that belief. It is almost certainly an overgeneralization that prevents you from seeing individuals clearly. Practice appreciating the men in your life. Notice what they contribute, acknowledge their efforts. Thank them for what they do. This practice builds the habit of seeing and appreciating. Remember that men are socialized differently than women, which affects how they express themselves. Do not mistake different expression for absence of depth or feeling. Look beneath the surface. Part 23. The attraction of being well-resourced. A well-resourced woman is attractive. By resources, I mean not just financial resources, though those are included, but all the resources that support a good life. Supportive relationships, meaningful work, engaging interests, physical health, mental wellness, spiritual depth. Being well-resourced is attractive because it means the woman is taking good care of herself and her life. She is not neglecting important areas. She is creating conditions for well-being. This self-care radiates outward in energy, appearance, and presence. Being well-resourced also means she brings something to a relationship. She is not coming empty-handed, hoping to be filled up. She has her own resources that enrich the partnership. Two well-resourced people creating a life together can build something much greater than two depleted people trying to survive together. What does being well-resourced look like practically? It means having work that is engaging and provides adequately for your needs. It means having friends and family who support and enrich your life. It means having interests and pursuits that bring you joy. It means maintaining your physical health through diet, movement, and rest. It means tending to your mental health through whatever practices support your well-being. It means having a spiritual or philosophical foundation that provides meaning and guidance. How does one become more well-resourced? Audit your life for resource gaps. Where are you depleted? What areas need attention? Maybe you have been neglecting friendships and feel isolated. Maybe you have let your health slide. Maybe your work is unfulfilling. Identify the gaps. Invest in your resources deliberately. This requires time, energy, and sometimes money. But the investment pays off enormously. Join communities to build friendships. Develop skills to improve your career. Establish routines to maintain your health. Make these investments a priority. Recognize that being well-resourced is not selfish. Many women have been taught to deplete themselves in service of others. But this serves no one. When you are well-resourced, you have more to give. Taking care of yourself is the foundation for taking care of others and for being a good partner. Part 24. The magnetism of evolved communication. Communication is the lifeblood of relationships. A woman who has developed sophisticated communication skills is deeply attractive because she makes connection possible in a way that poor communicators cannot. What does evolved communication look like? It includes clarity, being able to express what you think, feel, want, and need in ways that are clear and direct. Many people are poor at this. They hint, imply, speak indirectly, expect mind reading. Clear communication cuts through all of that. It includes listening, truly hearing what another person is communicating, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It includes empathy, being able to understand and acknowledge another person's perspective even when you do not share it. It includes non-reactivity, being able to receive difficult information or feedback without defensively attacking or shutting down. Evolved communication also includes repair. No relationship is without conflict. What matters is the ability to work through conflict constructively, to apologize when wrong, to forgive when wronged, to find solutions that honor both parties. The ability to repair is more important than the ability to avoid all conflict. Why is this attractive? Because poor communication is the death of relationships. Couples who cannot communicate end up feeling disconnected, misunderstood, and resentful. They accumulate unresolved issues that eventually overwhelm the relationship. A woman with evolved communication skills makes this much less likely. How does one develop evolved communication? Learn and practice specific communication skills. There are many excellent resources on nonviolent communication, active listening, assertiveness, and conflict resolution. Study these and practice them. Work on the emotional regulation that supports good communication. Much of poor communication happens when we are emotionally flooded. Developing the ability to stay calm allows you to communicate more effectively. Practice having difficult conversations. Many people avoid conflict entirely, which prevents them from developing the skills to navigate it. Lean into difficult conversations while practicing your skills. Seek feedback on your communication. Ask trusted friends or a therapist how you come across. Are you clear? Do you listen well? Do you get defensive? Honest feedback can illuminate blind spots. Part 25. The attraction of psychological health. Let us be direct. Psychological health is attractive. A woman who has worked through her major issues, who is relatively free of dysfunction, who does not bring a lot of drama and damage to relationships, is a much more appealing partner than one who has not done this work. This is not about being perfect or never having issues. Everyone has their wounds and struggles. But there is a significant difference between a woman who is aware of her issues and actively working on them versus one who is oblivious or in denial, who keeps repeating the same destructive patterns, who makes her dysfunction everyone else's problem. Psychological health includes self-awareness, knowing your patterns, triggers, defenses, and blind spots. It includes taking responsibility, recognizing your part in problems rather than always blaming others. It includes growth orientation, actively working to become healthier rather than being stuck in dysfunction. Men, particularly mature men who have done their own work, recognize psychological health and are drawn to it. They have probably been in relationships with unhealthy women and know how painful and exhausting that is. They are looking for a partner who will contribute to the health of the relationship rather than constantly destabilizing it. How does one cultivate psychological health? Therapy is often invaluable. A skilled therapist can help you understand your patterns, work through old wounds, and develop healthier ways of relating. This investment in yourself pays dividends in every area of life. Do inner work on your own as well. Journaling, self-reflection, reading psychology books, attending workshops. There are many paths to greater self-understanding and growth. Pursue them actively. Examine your relationship patterns. What roles do you tend to play? What kinds of partners do you attract? What patterns keep repeating? These patterns reveal your inner workings and point to areas for growth. Take responsibility for your part in things. When relationships go wrong, it is tempting to blame the other person entirely, but you played a part too. Understanding your part is essential for growth. Part 26. The Power of Graceful Aging. We began this video by challenging the lie that women become less attractive with age. But let us now explore what graceful aging actually looks like. It is not about fighting time or denying reality. It is about embracing the aging process while taking good care of yourself. Graceful aging means accepting what you cannot change while taking care of what you can. You cannot stop time. You cannot prevent all signs of aging, but you can take care of your health, your skin, your body. You can age as well as possible given your genetics and circumstances. More importantly, graceful aging means developing the inner qualities that make age an asset rather than a liability. Every quality we have discussed in this video is something that can deepen with age. Wisdom, depth, emotional sovereignty, self-possession, calm, warmth. A woman who consciously cultivates these qualities becomes more, not less, attractive as she ages. Graceful aging also means releasing attachment to what was. It means not living in the past, not comparing yourself to your younger self, not mourning lost youth. It means fully inhabiting who you are now at this age, in this body, with this face. This attitude itself is attractive. A woman who is at war with her aging repels people with her bitterness and anxiety. A woman who has made peace with it radiates acceptance and grace. The latter is infinitely more pleasant to be around. How does one age gracefully? Take excellent care of your physical health. The habits you establish now, diet, exercise, sleep, stress management, will determine much about how you age. Invest in these foundations. Develop and nurture the inner qualities that age well. All the practices we have discussed throughout this video contribute to aging gracefully. Emotional work, self-development, cultivating depth. These create a richness that only grows with time. Surround yourself with models of graceful aging. Seek out older women who have aged beautifully in the fullest sense. Learn from them. Let them inspire you. Work on accepting what you cannot change. This might require grieving certain losses. The face you had at 25, the body you had before children, the energy you had as a young woman. Let yourself grieve and then let go. Focus on what you gain, not just what you lose. Aging comes with losses, certainly, but it also comes with gains, wisdom, perspective, freedom, confidence. Celebrate what you are gaining. Part 27. The Magnetism of a Well-Lived Life. Let us zoom out and look at the big picture. All the qualities we have discussed contribute to something larger, a well-lived life. The most magnetically attractive women are those who are living their lives well, fully, deeply, with integrity and passion and growth. A well-lived life is attractive because it radiates outward. When you are living well, it shows. There is an energy, a glow, a presence that cannot be faked. People are drawn to this energy because they want some of it for themselves. A well-lived life is also attractive because it suggests what life with this woman might be like. If she has created a good life for herself, she probably knows how to contribute to creating a good life together. Her life is evidence of her capabilities, values, and character. What does a well-lived life include? Meaningful work or contribution, something that engages your abilities and makes a difference. Deep relationships, genuine connection with people who matter to you. Ongoing growth, continuing to learn, evolve, and become more yourself. Physical vitality, health that allows you to fully enjoy your body and your life. Inner peace, a settled sense of being okay, regardless of circumstances. Pleasure and joy, actually enjoying your life, not just enduring it. A well-lived life is not about perfection. It is about engagement, intention, and alignment with your values. It is about being the author of your life rather than a passive recipient of whatever happens. How does one create a well-lived life? Get clear on what matters to you. What do you value most? What would you regret not doing or being? What makes life feel meaningful? These answers guide your choices. Make deliberate choices aligned with your values. A well-lived life does not happen by accident. It requires making choices, sometimes hard choices, in service of what matters most. Keep growing. A well-lived life is a growing life. Never stop learning, developing, expanding. There is always more to discover about yourself and the world. Cultivate gratitude. Much of well-being comes from appreciation for what is. Practice noticing and savoring the good in your life. Make room for joy. Many people live lives that have no room for pleasure or play. This is not well lived. Make space for what brings you joy. Part 28, Bringing It All Together. We have covered a tremendous amount in this video. Let us take a moment to synthesize the key insights. The vibe that draws men to certain older women is not about appearance, though appearance plays a role. It is about a quality of being, a way of existing in the world that is palpable to those who encounter it. This quality includes emotional sovereignty, being the master of your inner world, stable and grounded regardless of external circumstances. It includes self-possession, knowing who you are and being comfortable with that person, not abandoning yourself to fit in or please. It includes genuine presence, being fully here, fully now, giving your real attention to whoever is in front of you. It includes aliveness, being engaged with life, curious, passionate, still growing. It includes warmth and compassion, genuine kindness and care for others, arising from fullness rather than neediness. It includes depth and wisdom, the richness that comes from lived experience and serious reflection. It includes mystery and privacy, having layers that unfold over time rather than revealing everything immediately. It includes sexual self-acceptance, being at peace with yourself as a sexual being. It includes selectivity, having standards and not being available to everyone equally. It includes emotional generosity, giving freely of attention, appreciation, and affection once someone is in your inner circle. It includes playfulness, access to lightness and humor, even amidst life's heaviness. It includes ambition and passion, having your own pursuits that give you purpose and direction. It includes integrity and authenticity, being real, being honest, being someone who can be trusted. It includes comfort with masculine energy, appreciating the masculine without fearing it or competing with it. It includes being complete without a relationship, not needing rescue, having a full life on your own. It includes feminine receptivity, the capacity to graciously receive what is offered. It includes being well-resourced, having all the resources that support a good life. It includes evolved communication, the ability to connect, express, listen, and repair. It includes psychological health, having done your inner work, being relatively free of dysfunction. It includes graceful aging, embracing the process while taking good care of yourself. All of these qualities together create a presence that is magnetic, that draws people in, that makes being around this woman feel like something special. Part 29. The Path Forward. If you have watched this far, you might be feeling both inspired and overwhelmed. Inspired because you see the possibility. Overwhelmed because there is so much to work on. Let me offer some reassurance and guidance. First, you do not have to perfect all of these qualities. Nobody is perfect in all areas. The goal is not perfection, but growth. The goal is becoming more of who you already are at your best, developing your strengths and working on your growth edges. Second, you do not have to work on everything at once. Pick one or two areas that resonate most strongly with you. Maybe you know that emotional reactivity is a challenge for you, so you focus on developing emotional sovereignty. Maybe you have lost touch with your passions and want to rekindle aliveness. Start where the need is greatest or the interest is strongest. Third, this is lifelong work. There is no arrival point where you will have completed your development. You will be working on these qualities for the rest of your life, and that is not a burden, but a privilege. Continuous growth is what keeps life interesting. Fourth, much of this development happens naturally through living. As you face challenges and learn from them, as you age and gain perspective, as you do your inner work and heal your wounds, these qualities naturally deepen. You do not have to force it all. Sometimes you just need to live attentively and let life develop you. Fifth, support helps. Therapy, coaching, courses, books, communities. There are many resources that can support your growth. You do not have to do this alone. In fact, development often happens most efficiently with good support. I encourage you to pick one thing from this video to work on intentionally. Not 5 things, not 10 things. One thing. Identify a specific practice you can do consistently. Commit to doing it for a month. Notice what changes. Then consider what comes next. Part 30. A final word on men and attraction. Before we close, I want to address something directly. Throughout this video, we have talked about what attracts men to older women. I want to be clear that the goal of cultivating these qualities is not to attract men. The goal is to become more fully yourself, to live more richly, to be more at peace, to develop your potential. The attraction is a byproduct. When you become more grounded, more wise, more warm, more alive, more authentic, you become more magnetic. But you would want to develop these qualities, even if they did not make you more attractive, because they make your life better. Do not develop yourself instrumentally just to get a result with men. That energy of trying to become attractive is itself unattractive. It is needy and manipulative. Instead, develop yourself for yourself. Let the attraction take care of itself. Furthermore, you do not need a man. You are complete on your own. A good relationship can enrich your life, but it is not necessary for you to be happy, fulfilled, or valuable. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. The women who possess this magnetic vibe are not women who are desperate for men. They are women who have built good lives, who have developed themselves deeply, who are complete in themselves. That completeness is precisely what makes them so attractive. If a good relationship comes, wonderful. If not, also wonderful. Your life is rich and meaningful either way. That is the mindset that creates the magnetic vibe. We have come to the end of this exploration together. Thank you for taking this journey with me. We have covered a lot of ground, from emotional sovereignty to graceful aging, from self-possession to feminine receptivity, from depth and wisdom to playfulness and humor. My hope is that you see yourself differently after watching this video. I hope you see that age is not your enemy, but your ally in developing the qualities that create genuine attraction. I hope you see that the path to becoming magnetic is also the path to becoming more fully alive, more deeply yourself, more at peace with who you are. I hope you see that you do not need to fight time or pretend to be someone you are not. You can embrace where you are in life, do the inner work that develops your best qualities, and trust that the right people will be drawn to who you actually are. Remember, the most attractive thing you can be is genuinely, unapologetically, fully yourself. A yourself that you have cultivated through conscious attention and effort, but a yourself nonetheless. If this video has helped you in any way, I want to ask you to do a few things. First, please hit that like button. It sounds simple, but likes help this video reach more women who need to hear this message. Every like expands the reach of this content. Second, please share this video with a friend who would benefit from it. Think of someone in your life who needs to hear this. Maybe someone who has been struggling with dating or feeling invisible as she ages or losing confidence in her attractiveness. Send them this video. You might change their perspective in a way that transforms their experience. Third, leave a comment below. Tell me what resonated with you. Tell me which quality you want to work on. Tell me about your own experiences with the magnetic vibe we have discussed. I read every comment and I love hearing from you. The conversations in this community are one of my favorite parts of creating this content. Fourth, if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. We create content like this regularly, exploring the psychology of relationships, attraction, and personal growth. When you subscribe, you become part of a community of people who are committed to understanding themselves and others more deeply. I would love to have you as part of that community. Finally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting this work, you can click the Super Thanks button below. Creating this content takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. Your support through Super Thanks makes it possible for us to keep doing this work and to keep improving it. Every contribution, whatever the amount, is deeply appreciated and makes a real difference. Thank you for being here. Thank you for investing time in your own growth. Thank you for being the kind of person who watches a video like this all the way through, that says something about who you are and who you are becoming. You are valuable. You are worthy. You have everything you need to develop the magnetic presence we have discussed. I believe in you and your journey. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And remember, the most attractive vibe is the vibe of a woman who has come home to herself. Goodbye for now.